this game ends up going the distance here, simply because... Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I am JoRoSaR, and we're here with some games from the Asus Republic of Gamers tournament here in early 2014. Specifically, I'm going to be covering Group 5 in Group Stage 1, which will consist of our first two players over here, spawning in the bottom right-hand position as the blue Protoss. He represents Yoei Flash Wolves, the Taiwanese pro team. It is San. His opponent is going to be spawning up in the top left-hand position as the yellow Zerg player, ladies and gentlemen. From Team Menace, it is Protosser. Alright, so this is going to be a pretty entertaining PvZ. Of course, Asus ROG, an incredibly prestigious and very, very difficult tournament. Completely full of stacked names left, right, and center here. So it's going to be very interesting to see what ends up happening in this particular group. We'll be keeping an eye on everything that goes on here. Of course, observing going to be a little more difficult at the moment, since with this particular version of the interface and patch, I'm unable to follow units anymore. I'm going to have to be a little bit more wary with my mouse control, but shouldn't be too much of an issue here. Gateway going out behind the mineral line for San. Things looking pretty normal so far. Meanwhile, we can see we've got a drone popping down for the hatchery from Protosser. And having someone called Protoss who plays Zerg can often be a little bit of a tongue twister for casters at times. But I've cast Protosser a couple of times now. Quite enjoy his play, and hopefully we'll be avoiding any of those pitfalls this time around. Otherwise, this is Heavy Rain, of course, guys. One of the newer maps in the map pool, and generally, I want to say not necessarily favored by that many players. It just doesn't seem to be like an immediate go-to map for anyone at the moment. A lot of players don't seem to like playing on it. Of course, no one has any issue actually having to face off against someone on this map, but it doesn't strike as a yes, everyone has to pick this map kind of thing for any of the pro players that I have seen thus far. We have the Zealot coming out first here from San, Cybernetics Core going down, and the Overlord isn't really going to see much at the moment. Just going to verify that there isn't some sort of crazy immediate Nexus play coming out of our Korean Protoss here. And we have got the first probe moving out across the map now for San. Meanwhile, Protosser is going to be completing the spawning pool momentarily. His natural expansion is open and ready for business as well. And this scout here from San is going to immediately spot that, hang on a second, based on the creep spread, this hatchery more or less just completed. That's going to tell him everything he needs to know right now. Will be able to determine the timing of that hatchery, and he goes ahead into a slightly safer location, potentially to put down a forward pylon a little bit later on in the game. In the meantime, this Overlord does spot the timing of this Nexus going down from San now, so it's just going to be a gateway expand coming out of him, pretty much bog standard from our Protoss player thus far. Nothing too much to worry about. Mothership core nearly complete now as well. We've got the first two queens coming out here for Protosser, injecting as appropriate. So now heading around the 5-minute mark, it looks like this Zergling is going to spot the probe in the middle of the map here, and will be able to follow him home. There is a Stalker, though, that is going to try and stop this quite promptly. There we go, and we do have the probe able once again to move out across the map. An Overlord on this really tiny bit of high ground with some nice vegetation over here from Protosser, giving him some view of a potential probe sort of alleyway off to the side of the map, and he takes his third base now at the same time. He's got 8 lings coming out. Speed is about to complete for these Zerglings too, so we'll be able to get some good scouting off. You'll want to make sure he can pick off as many pounds as he possibly can. San does have one over here, basically still on his side of the map, but only just. And Protoss is going to be able to see this should he move those lings up there. The Mothership core and the Stalker are protecting it though, so our Zerg player won't be able to quite take it out just yet. And he is scouting all over the place for those pylons, wanting to see where this is, and yes, he will be able to spot that pylon with those Zerglings there. Moves in and goes, hang on a second, I see units, I need to be a little bit careful about this. and he does accordingly. Meanwhile, the Roach Warren is about halfway done now for Protosser, so he's doing a relatively good job. He's on 31 drones at the moment versus the 28 probes. Going to try and get that drone count up a little bit higher. The Roach Warren there for defensive purposes should we see an early push coming in from San right now. With the Mothership Core, he does spot that the third base has gone down as well. And there is also a Queen already there. So he knows that this is a potential target now for the Protoss force a little bit later on. And as a result, these Lings actually coming back to double check and see if there are any pylons down here at this location, wanting to make sure that there isn't any aggression coming in from him as well. But the Zealots are going to be coming in instead, roughly from the direction of the natural expansion. And of course, onto creep, they will be able to spot this now. The third base is under an awful lot of threat from San. Will Protosser be able to hold this? We can see the Queen laying a creep tumor here as well, trying to keep creep at this location, and this hatchery is looking pretty difficult to keep a hold of right now. We have some roaches coming out. They're going to help an awful lot. Will they be able to kill everything in time? The Mothership Core is going to be able to pick off the Queen, so there's nothing shooting up to hit that Mothership Core right now. The hatchery still at about 40% hit points, and yes, does manage to force the recall. So well done there. Protoss are able to defend that third base. We can see back inside the main base, actually, at the natural expansion is where San ended up recalling to. Army supply currently 33 to 18 in favor of our Zerg player, so not wanting to let that third base go anytime soon. In the meantime, the first Immortal is coming out now. At the same time, we've got the layer coming down for Protosser. And he has a decent number of Lings and Roaches moving out across the middle of the map now. Is he just going to continue pumping units here? We'll have to wait and see. I don't think so, because we have got the Evolution Chamber on the way, etc. as well. But he's going to see if he can't poke in and do a little bit of damage here. The Mothership Core, of course, sees everything that's going on right now. These Roaches are very, very mildly annoyed by the Mothership Core. Are we going to see him attempt to pick off a building here? He's thinking about picking off one of the pylons. Is it actually going to be enough? There are the force fields, and one of those Roaches, two of them now, thanks to a fourth force field, able to get picked off, and Protosser thinks twice about heading in for round 2, but a lot more roaches on the way for him. He's at 52 drones right now to 46 probes. We'll be keeping an eye on any potential follow-up attacks. With these Immortals coming out from San, though, I really don't think he's going to be able to do that much. And in the meantime, more sentries coming out from him as well. Excellent force field zoning will be fantastic hunting grounds for this Immortal as well, should this attack materialize. And behind this, San is saying, look, you know what, mate? If you're not going to be successful in any sort of attack against me, then I am going to go ahead and put down my third base and ask what you're going to do about it. And that, to be honest, is a very good question to be asking Protosser right now. He needs to attempt to react to seeing this Immortal. He's got the Hydralisk Den going down right now. He's got the +1 and the Glial Reconstitution, but these are a lot of units that could have been drones a little bit earlier on. He's only ahead slightly in the work account, 58 to 54. Hallucinated Phoenix. Ooh, did he actually spot the Hydralisk Den going down? Let's take a quick look, shall we? He did not spot it going down. So we're going to go into a Roach Hydra-esque composition here. Great force field to start things off from Protosser, but the Lings are going to attempt. Are they just going to run in? No, they're not. They've actually just been separated from the Roaches. And so far, our Protoss player not taking any damage. Protoss is coming in for round 1. He's wanting to bait a lot of force fields. Time Warp going down on the Mothership Core to try and isolate the Zerglings once again from the Roaches. 2, 3 more force fields going down, trapping a couple of Roaches, being nice and cost efficient here. Has to be careful he doesn't run out of energy. But 2 Immortals plus Stalkers to boot means that this attack really isn't going to be able to do much from our Zerg player's point of view. In the meantime, we have got a Warp Prism and a Zealot Warp in at the third base location. And a couple of workers going down at the moment. Total killed so far, 3 versus 2. Not the craziest amount you've ever seen, but the hatchery is going to get sniped off here. And San successfully brings Protosser back to 2 bases. He has already, of course, got this 4th base location building. So we're keeping an eye on that. Oh, I don't know. This is going to do too much. Excellent drone micro at the moment. Oh, I say that. One of them is about to go down, though, and these Zealots continuing to do a little bit of damage over here. The War Prism's still alive in the top left corner of the map. Number of workers killed now 15 to 2, so that's really what did an awful lot of damage right now. 55 drones to 61 probes, and on 3 bases with the double Stargate coming down as well, with Immortal production continuing. I feel like San is in a pretty good place here to basically to keep this game going into the late game with a composition that he would ideally like to be using. Roach Hydras are both out on the field right now. only got the +1 upgrades. If we take a look at the upgrades for San, he's also only got +1. But I just think his army composition is much, much stronger than our Zerg players at this point in the game. 4 Immortals here, in addition to Sentries, means that it's going to be incredibly difficult for Protosser to get a word in edgeways. It looks like he's going to try anyway, though. He's being very aggressive with his army positioning, and I'm not sure I 100% agree with that. But San just playing this very cool. Not trying to go out and snipe off the army or anything like that. Just waiting until it comes to him, picking off a few units, being more cost effective, and then just letting things go. The Robotics Bay now on the way for our Protoss player as well. And we have got a +2 ground weapons about to complete, and it will finish faster than the +2 from our Zerg player. In the meantime, though, the Spire is being targeted down by these Warped-in Zealots. It looks like there's a chance he's going to get... Yes, he is going to get it. No transfuse going down on the Spire there, unfortunately. And, well, just unable to kill off those Zealots fast enough. These Warp Prism run-bys that we see from San all game so far have been absolutely tremendous. Only 8 hit points left on that Warp Prism, but all you need is 1 to keep it alive. Now San is going to be aggressive. He's moving in towards a 4th base location. Excellent force fields, effectively splitting the army in two. A lot of these high DPS Hydralisks are completely zoned out of the fight right now, and Protosser does not want to have to take an engagement like this. This is a little bit painful for him, even abandoning the base, moving all of the drones out there. He knows this is going to be a very difficult hold, and I think San is now going to push it and say, well, hang on, what else have you got here? There are actually Corruptors out on the field, possibly in response to the Robotics Bay, but there are no Colossi with this army. They're basically wasted units at the moment, just wasted supply. Yes, they'll be able to pick up the Mothership Core, but that's not one you want to be investing a lot of money into building Corruptors for. So right now, I get the impression that San is just really controlling this game. Killing off the Spire, making his opponent think, hang on a second, he wants a Spire dead. Maybe he's got Colossus in his army, and actually finding out that he doesn't. San at the moment in complete control. 165 to 157 supply, and 69 probes to 70 drones. So both sides are macroing up. But I feel like Protosser is a little bit more reactionary than he otherwise would be comfortable being right now. And here we see San slipping into full endgame mode. He's got double Void Ray production on the way now, in addition to Colossi. So he's really trying to ramp things up. A small group of Stalkers up here, just kind of chilling out for a little bit. The Infestation Pit, meanwhile, for Protosser has started in the north corner of his base. So we'll be keeping an eye on that hive timing and what he decides to do against this increasingly deadly army composition. A lot of Lings, a lot of Hydras with this army. That's not going to be great news for him. High DPS, very, very squishy units, and it's not going to be enough. GG, ladies and gentlemen. And, wow. Well, Protosser goes down in game number 1. San is going to take a 1-0 lead.